Operation Squatter. After some challenging setbacks planning for his first operation, David Sterling was finally given the go-ahead to prove a hit and run raiding party behind enemy lines was a good idea. He was still finding some army brass putting obstacles in his way, such as the supply of specialized equipment to suit the hot weather and terrain. One person who was totally in favor of his planning was the Prime Minister Winston Churchill, whose son Randolph had joined the SAS and kept his father up-to-date with all things SAS. Although I can't say for certain which operations Jimmy Downey took part in, according to his service records I obtained, I can say while the planning for Operation Squatter was taking place, Jimmy was in Cabrit training on exercises. Some of the older hands commented that if training for the commandos was tough, it was a piece of cake compared with training for the forthcoming SAS operations. Officers participated with other ranks in the same training, day or night. David made it quite clear flouting rules will not be tolerated, or slacking in training will result in the perpetrator being returned to his parent unit. The troopers had been physically trained with long route marches carrying heavy packs with little water, exercises over obstacles, weapon training, parachute jumping, martial arts, enemy weapons and their tactics. There was coming and going of troopers who fell short for a high caliber of an operative. David had chosen his officers well. Paddy Robert Blair would be his second in command. Jock Lewes had perfected the bombs to be used after a few hiccups. Finally, all the logistics were in place. Operation Squatter would commence from 16th November, attacking 5 airfields in the Gazala, Timini areas in support of a big push by the Allies to retake Tobruk. A few days before the commencement of the operation, Brigadier Galloway, the overall commander, ordered David to stand down owing to the bad weather forecast, fearing the winds would drag the parachutists all over the desert. David asked if he could consult with his officers. Reluctantly, the brigadier agreed. To a man, the officers agreed the operation should go ahead, as the history of men being stood down did nothing for morale. At 19:15 hours on the 16th November, 5 Bombay engines fired into action. The men on board sat tense, some closed their eyes while others stared at the stacked machine guns, fingers stained with nicotine. Once in the air, the aircraft were caught in crosswinds as the pilots fought to control their craft. One was blown off course, never to be seen again. David was informed by the dispatcher the pilots had lost the drop zones. Between conversations, it was decided the troopers would drop blind nearest to the landing area. David was first out of his aircraft. The next thing he knew was a bang on the head as he hit a boulder on the ground. Other troopers came off worse with broken bones and cuts. One man was dragged to his death. Others were never seen again. Operation Squatter was a complete disaster. 55 men and 7 officers took part in the operation. 18 men and 4 officers were the only ones to make it back to Cabrit. James Statter's books are available to buy on any Amazon site worldwide. Links are in the description below.